Welcome back to another lesson from Soflex Math. Today we're going to be working on division. We're going to follow two methods today. We're going to do the standard algorithm, which is the rules of dividing. You've probably heard them: divide, multiply, subtract, bring down, and then you kind of start the whole process over again. And then we're going to do another one called the mini method, which is basically breaking down the problems into mini problems and kind of just looking at them as facts. So like 2 digits divided by 1, as opposed to looking at 371 divided by 4, which sometimes is a little bit tricky or overwhelming to start. So we're going to start with the first problem. We're going to label all the parts real quick. So inside here, so our 371, that is something that we call the dividend. So if you see that word on a test, that's what they're talking about, what number's inside. So 371 is the dividend. What you divide by is called the divisor. So in this case, that's the number 4. So dividend, divisor. Okay. When you divide and you get your answer, the whole number answer is going to be called the quotient. So quotient is the answer for dividing. And then you may or may not have a remainder, which is going to be the leftover amount. All right. So let's go ahead and start that process. So we're gonna look at 37 divided by 4. So notice how we read from the inside out. We don't say 4 divided by 37. We're going to start with the bigger amount, or the dividend. So in this case, it happens to be 37. And 37 divided by 4 is 9. So our step 1 is to divide. Then step 2 is to multiply. 9 times 4 is 36. And if it helps you remember, feel free to put a little tiny multiplication sign there so you remember to multiply. So 9 times 4 is 36. We're going to subtract. 7 minus 6 is 1. 3 minus 3 is nothing. Okay, we have to make sure that this number, when we subtract it, is less than the divisor. If it was more, that means we could fit another one in. So 1 is less than 4, so we can continue. Our last step there was to bring down the next number. So we go to the next column. That's another 1. All right, so now we have another division problem. 11 divided by 4. Okay, that answer is 2. Because remember, we can never go over. So 2 times 4 is 8. We're going to subtract. We know we're finished because there's no other numbers here. If we had more numbers to bring down, we just keep going, but there's not. So we know we're finished. So the number down here is a 3. So our answer is going to be remainder 3. So the quotient, 92, remainder 3. So that is the answer to this division problem. 371 divided by 4 is 92, remainder 3. All right, so let's look over here. I broke it down into a couple of mini problems. We're always dividing by the divisor, which is 4. So I can write the 4 a bunch of different times because it's always divided by 4. So we're going to look at our first problem. 4 into 37. Okay, and we had talked about this in our previous problem over here. That answer was 9, remainder 1, because it was 36. So if that was just our problem, 37 divided 4, if that's all the problem was, our answer is 9, remainder 1. But it's not, because we're dividing 371. So that's the first part. So notice how our 9 is our quotient. So I'm going to use that. There's my 9, my quotient. This remainder is only the remainder of my first part of the problem. So I'm going to take that number, that remainder 1, and make a new mini problem. And then I'm going to bring down my next number, which is the other one, to make our second problem. So remember, we did 11 divided by 4 to get our next answer. Well, that's what we're doing here. We're just breaking it down. Okay, so that answer is going to be 2, remainder 3. So once again, 4 times 2 is 8. We subtracted and got that 3. So there's where our 2 remainder 3 is. So now we're going to have our quotient 2. And since there's no more numbers, we're going to use that remainder. So if you look here, so 9, 2, 9, 2, remainder 3, remainder 3. So either way you can use. So this one I know is a lot different, maybe a new way. We'll try a couple more and you can kind of see which one of those two methods you like better. So let's try another problem here. Okay, so our next problem is 3,165 divided by 7. Quick reminder, 3165 is the dividend, 7 is divisor. All right, so let's work through it. How many 7s can go into 3? Well, none of them. How many 7s can go into 31, or 31 divided by 7? So there we can write down our answer of 4. Remember, we can have a reminder of a little multiplication sign. 4 times 7 is 28. All right, we can go ahead and subtract, and we're just going to bring down the next number. Not all the numbers, just the next column, to make our new problem, 36. Okay, so let me do it step by step. So now let's look over here if we were breaking it down. We just said 7, 31. That answer was 4. And if you remember, we said when we subtracted, we got the remainder of 3. So if you can look here, 28 is our answer. And our remainder from that little subtraction problem, 31 minus 28, 31 minus 28 was 3. So 4 is good, 4 is good. I'm going to put down 3 in my next problem, and I'm going to bring my 6 over. So notice how what we're doing here, 36 divided by 7 is my next mini problem, 36 divided by 7. So that answer, of course, is 5. And in that case, it would be a remainder 1. And then we bring down our last number, 15. So as we just said, 5, remainder 1. Okay, so 5, and then remainder 1, and then bring down our next number, 15. All right, how many 7s can go into 15? 2. Okay, which is 14. Remainder 1. There's nothing else to bring down, so there's our final answer. So we're going to do that same thing here. We have 2 of those, which is 14, with remainder 1. All right, so our answer either way is 452, remainder 1. So let's take a look here. 4, 5, 2, and then our last one, remainder 1. So either way, you got the exact same answer. So let's try one more example here. Okay, and this one has a 0 in the dividend, so we'll just see how that looks as we work through the problem. Okay, so let's go ahead and get started here. So 8 into 20. So 8 into 20. That can happen twice to get 16. I'm going to work through this one kind of quickly. 4. Bring down the 1. How many 8s go into 41 is kind of the question you ask in your head. That answer is 5. 5 times 8 is 40. Subtract. Bring down. How many 8s can go into 15? In that case, only 1. So we're going to subtract an 8. We get a 7 as a remainder. So our answer to this question is 251, remainder 7. Okay, so let's look at what that looked like with our mini problems. 8 went into 20 twice. Remember, that was 16, so remainder 4. So we're going to try to do this one as mental math, because hopefully you can do 2 times 8 is 16, 20 minus 16 is 4 in your head. Okay, we have our 2 as our answer. Our remainder goes to our next problem. Our next number to bring down was a 1. So 8 into 41 is 5. Once again, mental math. 8 times 5 is 40. 41 minus 40 is 1, so remainder 1. Bring that down. Our final number is a 5. How many 8s go into 15? 1. 15 minus 8 is 7. So our answer here was 251, remainder 7. Our answer here is 251, remainder 7. So once again, 2 different methods to solve this. And there's one more thing I want to show you, and that's just kind of how to check your work. So how you can see if your answer indeed is correct. So let's take a look at that with this problem. All right, so if you can look in blue, we're going to show you how to check your work. So remember we said that we can check it with multiplying. So we're going to take our quotient. So in this case, our quotient was 251. So 251, and I'm going to multiply that by the divisor. In this case, the divisor is 8. So let's go ahead and do that. 8 times 1 is 8. 8 times 5 is 40. Carry the 4. And that gets us to 2008. Okay? Then we're going to add the remainder. In this case, the remainder is 7. So 8 plus 7 is 5. Carry the 1. 15. 2015. So how do we know if we're right? This answer should match up with whatever we had as our dividend. And in this case, it's the exact same. 2015. 2015. So you can use multiplying. So our quotient times the divisor, that answer, plus the remainder, should equal your dividend. So that's why it's important to remember some of these terminology or the vocab that goes along with it. So that is how you can check your work with multiplying. So we've shown you the standard algorithm, the mini problems, and then how to check your work in this particular lesson. So once again, feel free to leave questions in the comments. I'll be happy to answer those. And good luck on your worksheet today. See how you do. Obviously check your answers. And then if you have questions after that, you can still add them into the comments. Thanks for watching this lesson from Soflex Math.